Hi, this is Miss Harrell, and today we're going to talk about Unit 4, Lesson 3. And our objective for today is to find the slope of a table using the slope formula. So let's talk a little bit about what we know from graphs. We know that first we have to find 2 points. We're going to have this point here, and we're going to have this point here. And we know that when I'm looking at points in a parentheses, my x always comes first. But if I have 2 points, then I have to be able to identify the points differently. So that's why I label them as x1, y1, and x2 and y2, so I understand. The next thing I have to do is I want y'all to get in the habit of writing this formula, y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. And once I've written that formula, I'm going to take the points that I've identified and I'm going to plug them into the formula and I'm going to solve. So let's get right into it and practice. Now, when I'm looking at a table, all of these are points on a graph, and I just need to pick 2 of them to solve. I can pick any 2. It doesn't matter which 2 I pick. I just need to pick one as 0.1 and one as 0.2. Now, to start off with, I'm going to try to avoid the negatives if I can. And I know that my second point always comes first. So I want my second point to be the bigger number. So I'm going to make those 5 and 9 because those are the bigger numbers and I don't have any negatives. That means I'm going to make this right here points 2 and 3. So now I have found the points that I want to use. Now I have to identify which x is x1 and which y is y1 and which x is x2 and which y is x2. So I'm going to label those. X1's here, Y1's there, X2 is there, Y2 is there. Now I've labeled my points. And here we're going to get in the habit of writing Y2, we're writing this formula here, Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Okay, I've written the formula. The next is to find the points that I've identified. So I'm going to look at Y2. Y2, which number did I pick as Y2? Oh, I picked the number 9 as y2. So I'm going to erase y2 and I'm going to replace it with the number 9. And y1 was the 3, so I'm going to replace y1 with the 3. Then I'm looking at x2 is the first number on the bottom. x2 is the number 5. And x1 was the number 2. Now, if you notice that my points, the green points are vertically aligned, so the 5 and the 9 are vertically aligned, and that the blue points, the 3 and the 2, are vertically aligned. So they're not, the same points don't belong together on the numerator or on the denominator. They have to be matched up vertically. So my next step of plugging the points is done. Now it is time to solve. And here I think I've messed up somehow. 9 and 3, 5 and 2. Maybe not. Okay. So now is my solving point. 9 minus 3 gives me the number 6, and 5 minus 2 gives me the number 3. So I have 6 over 3. That is actually 6 divided by 3, and if I were to use my calculator, 6 divided by 3, I'm going to get the number is 2. So my m is equal to 2, and I've solved the answer. Now, don't be afraid to use your calculators. We know that sometimes we're going to have negative numbers, and it's easier to use the calculator if we're not really sure about our integral rules. So let's go through our points again. Find my points. I'm going to stay away from the negative, so I'm going to use these 2 points. Now I'm going to decide which one do I want to be 0.1 and which one do I want to be 0.2. Looking at my formula, I want my bigger numbers to be able to subtract, and that's the second one at the beginning. So these, I'm going to make 2 and 5 my 0.1 and 0 and 4 0.1. Or 2 and 5 is 0.2 and 0 and 4 is 0.1. Now you can pick any points that you want. This is going to work out. Even if I flip-flop them, the same thing would work out. These are just what I am choosing. So I have taken care of finding my points. The next step is to label them. So 0.1, my first number is x1. And my second number is y because I know that x and becomes before y. So it's just x1 and y1. Now, because that's 0.2 at the bottom, my 2 and 5, my x comes first, my y comes second. These are going to be 0.2 just because they're the second one I picked. It can be any points. I've labeled my points. Next, I'm writing the formula. I'm rewriting this out because I'm going to plug them in. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. I have written the slope formula. Now I'm going to plug them in. Which one? So this time I'm going to plug them in a little bit differently. I'm going to start with 0.1, my 0 and 4. Well, my 0 is x1, so I want to look and see where is x1 on the formula. Well, x1's on the bottom. Now, is x1 on the right or the left? x1 is on the right, so I'm going to erase the number on the right, and I'm going to put my 0. Now, the next letter I have is y1. Well, looking at my formula, is y1 on the top or the bottom? Well, it's in the numerator, okay? y1, is it on the left or right? Well, it's on the right, so I'll erase that and put my 4. And that just leaves me with 0.2. x2, top or bottom? That's on the bottom. So I'm going to erase x2 and put the 2 there. And then the y2. y2 is my one variable left, and replace that there. Now, again, I'm going to double check. Are my 5 and my 2, the blue, lined up together vertically? Yes. And are my green 4 and 0 lined up together vertically? Yes, they are. So I have plugged in my points. My last situation is to solve. 5 minus 4 gives me 1, and 2 minus 2 gives me 0. That means my slope is 1/2. All right, I think we're getting the hang of this. Now, if you want, pause the video and we're going to try this on your own first. Okay, so pause the video and do all 5 steps, and then we're going to check your answer. I hope you paused it. All right, I'm going to start by finding my points. Ooh, there's some negatives in this one. That's okay. I'm going to choose this one and that one. Okay. I'm going to make this green 1.1, so I'm going to put 6 and 4 because my x always comes first in my points, and then -6 and 24, or 0.2. Okay, I found my points. I need to label them. So this, because I chose this one as 0.1, x1, oh, not x. The second one is not an x. The second one's a y. y1. So I've got x1 and y1, and now I need to pick x2 and y2. And these are those numbers there, -6 and 24. So I've labeled my points. Next, I'm going to practice writing the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, doing good so far? I've written the formula. Now I'm going to plug them in. y2, where do I see that number? Well, I see that number here in 0.2. So y2 is the number 24. I can't forget that subtraction sign. And then y1. Oh, y1 is in green. So I'm going to erase this and I'm going to put 6. And then x2 is at the bottom. x2 is a -6. So I'll put -6. And then y2 is, or x2 is, x1 is, oh my goodness. That's x1. That's the number. So x1 is a 0. All right. I have 24 minus 6. Let me use my calculator. I just want to make sure my numbers are right. 24 minus 6 gives me 18. So I have 18 on top. And then I have -6 minus 0. -6 minus 0 is -6. Now remember, that means to divide. Anytime I see this line, in my calculator, I'm going to put in 18 divided by -6. So 18 divided by, and that negative is down by the inner, divided by -6. And see, it kind of looks like my fraction now, 18 divided by -6. And I hit enter, and I get a -3. So my slope, using the slope formula, is a -3. If you want more practice, please go on to the guided practice.